Hi there, this is your host, and today we're going to talk about blood pressure. I'm going to walk you through what blood pressure actually is, how it is measured, and how you can accurately measure your blood pressure at home in only 5 easy steps. And I'm also going to show you some really cool free resources that will help you track your blood pressure over time so that you can see the progress that you're making towards better blood pressure control. I've been a nurse for over 20 years and I have seen all sorts of blood pressure issues. I've worked in intensive care units where people come in with really high blood pressure that can be life-threatening. But I've also spent a lot of time working with people who have chronic conditions like kidney disease or diabetes who need to keep their blood pressure under control long-term because it affects the progression of those diseases. And one thing I know from experience is that when it comes to taking blood pressure, there are a lot of misconceptions out there. So I hope that today I can clear up some of those misconceptions and give you a good understanding of what blood pressure actually is, why it's important that we measure it, and how we can do it accurately at home. The first thing that I want to start with is, what is blood pressure? Well, blood pressure is the force of blood pushing against the inside walls of arteries. Picture an artery like a hose. And when the heart pumps, that pushes blood down through the artery, and that makes a certain amount of force against the walls of that artery. Blood pressure is a measurement of that force. Blood pressure is written as 2 numbers. The top number is called the systolic blood pressure, and that is the measurement when your heart is actually beating or contracting. That's when it pumps blood out into the body. The bottom number is called the diastolic blood pressure, and that's the measurement of the pressure in the arteries when your heart is at rest. So the next question that I want to answer is, why do we need to measure our blood pressure? Well, many people don't know that high blood pressure can be what we call a silent killer. That means that there are no real noticeable symptoms that you can see or feel, but it's still dangerous and damaging to your body. High blood pressure can make your heart work harder than it should. And over time, that can cause your heart to become enlarged and not function as well as it should. High blood pressure can also damage the walls of your arteries. And over time, that can make your arteries narrow and also increase your risk of having a blood clot form in your arteries. Both of these situations put you at risk for things like heart attack and stroke. The good news is, if we catch high blood pressure early, we can usually control it very well with lifestyle changes like diet and exercise. Also, there are many medications available that can help bring your blood pressure down to a safe level. But the key to all of this is getting your blood pressure under control, is that we have to find a way to measure it. So let's talk about how to take your blood pressure. There are a few different devices that you can use. You can go to the drugstore and you can buy an automatic blood pressure monitor like this one. This monitor just needs a small amount of your blood, so it's going to pop up here in a second to get a reading. It will do all the calculations for you, and it will give you a reading in a very short amount of time. You can also buy a manual blood pressure kit like this one. To use a manual blood pressure kit, you need to learn how to use a stethoscope. You place the stethoscope over your bare arm, pump up the cuff until you can no longer hear the sounds in the stethoscope, and then you release the pressure slowly while listening for the sounds to come back. You use the numbers on the gauge to determine your blood pressure readings. These are both great options, but they can be kind of expensive. A much more affordable option is to use an automatic blood pressure monitor like this one. Automatic blood pressure monitors come in 2 different types. They either wrap around your arm like this one does, or they're the type that you slip your finger in between the prongs like this one is. I personally prefer the ones that wrap around your arm because I think they tend to be a little bit more accurate. Wrap the blood pressure monitor snugly around your arm and then secure the strap. Make sure that you're not cutting off circulation to your hand. you should still be able to move your fingers and wiggle your hand a little bit after you've wrapped the strap around your arm. If you can't do that, then the blood pressure monitor is too tight and you need to loosen it just a little bit. The last step is to read the results and record them. After the monitor finishes, you'll have two numbers showing in the display window. The top number is the systolic blood pressure and the bottom number is the diastolic blood pressure. Record these numbers so that you can check your progress over time. There are some other things that you need to know about using a blood pressure monitor. For example, you never want to use a blood pressure monitor over clothing because that will give you an inaccurate reading. Also, you want to make sure that the blood pressure monitor is positioned correctly. If it's too far above or below your heart, it can also give you an inaccurate reading. And finally, it's best to take your blood pressure when you haven't been drinking coffee or doing strenuous exercise within the last 30 minutes. Those things can temporarily raise your blood pressure and skew your results. So the last thing that I want to talk about is what do you do once you have your blood pressure readings recorded? Well, I have two free resources that I want to tell you about. The first one is a free printable blood pressure log. This is a document that you can print out and use to track your blood pressure readings over time. I've included a link to this resource in the description below. You can download it and then print it out. And each day you can fill in your blood pressure readings. I recommend checking your blood pressure at the same time each day and checking it at least 3 days in a row before you make any changes because it's important that you establish a baseline first. Then after you've established a baseline, you can continue checking your blood pressure daily to see if the countermeasures that you've implemented are helping your blood pressure go down. The other resource that I want to share with you is a website. This is a website that allows you to enter in your blood pressure readings and then it creates a graph for you that shows you your progress over time. I've also included a link to this website in the description below. Once you're on the website, click on the link that says Get Started and then it will take you to a page where you can register. Registration is free and once you register you can start entering in your blood pressure readings. Those are two really great free resources that I think you'll find helpful. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope that it answered some of your questions about blood pressure and I hope that it gave you the confidence that you need to start monitoring your blood pressure at home. If you have any other questions about blood pressure, please leave them in the comments section below. And if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. I appreciate all of your support and I look forward to seeing you next time.